In this final part, we will now look at the actual logistics of the Ark along with some considerations from physics. 1. Taking all of the species of Earth is a gargantuan task, and even creationists balk at it. Instead, they invoke the term kinds, a term so loosely defined that actually getting a concrete definition is like trying to nail jelly to a rotating door with a banana.
Behold, 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 the atheist's nightmare.
Perhaps to demonstrate this, creationist estimates have ranged from 35,000 individuals to 2,000 individuals. Okay, let's go with 2,000 individuals, as claimed by Woodmarapp. A. We now have 2,000 individuals. How do they fit in the Ark? How are they stored? Often the comparison is made to the number of sheep railroad stock cars can hold, but this claim is grossly misleading for a couple of reasons. 1. Sheep are pretty much all the same size, so their packing factor, that is the amount of room they take up compared to the room available, is much higher than that of non-uniformly shaped organisms. 2. Stock cars come in various sizes. 3. They are packed in, with as many as feasibly possible stuffed into the cars. 4. Point 3 is acceptable because the journeys are relatively short, a couple of days at most. A week would be inhumane, let alone a year. In a slight tangent from my point, I'm looking at christiananswers.net and, well, let me read. The Ark would have to be at least 450 feet long, 137.16 metres, 75 feet wide, 22.86 metres, and 45 feet high, 13.716 0000000000001 meters. Is it really necessary for that measurement to be accurate to the femtometer? What? Why? For some reason, many creationist organisations like to treat the average size of the animal taken onto the Ark as a sheep. This is presumably to allow them not to have to do any difficult calculations and simply rely on stock car statistics. Okay, so the average is a sheep. Now, your average 150 pound ewe gets through 4 pounds of food a day, or over 340 days, 1,360 pounds. If we take half the animals to be herbivores, then the total food requirement for the voyage is 680 US tons. This is HMS Penzance, a Royal Navy minehunter. This is roughly equivalent in weight to the amount of food required. Yeah. If a square bale of hay is about 80 pounds, then this is about 7,000 bales, all of which need to be kept separate from the animals on the Ark, kept rot-free and pest-free for an entire year, using only Bronze Age technology. How was this done? It's worth noting that this 2,000 individuals, which would only constitute about 1,000 kinds, is a very low figure. Woodmarapp, in the same book as this figure is quoted from, also quotes 16,000 individuals, where he takes kind to mean genus. This would give a not so generous 6 square foot for each animal and a year's supply of food. 2. How did 8 people care for 2,000 animals? Assuming a 16-hour working day and dividing the work equally, this is 15 animals per hour, but that figure doesn't tell the whole story. Many animals will require 2 portions of food a day, and pretty much all of the animals will require clean water to be readily available, and for their areas to be cleaned at least daily. A. How was sufficient clean water provided? B. How was a clean environment maintained? This point seems especially important given one thing oft overlooked by creationists: pathogens. With so many animals confined to such a small space, disease could have spread very rapidly throughout the Ark. C. So how are the animals kept disease-free? 3. Many organisms are very well adapted to their home climates and, because of this, maladapted to any other. A polar bear can die of heat exhaustion swimming in temperatures that would see humans succumb to hypothermia. So how are the pens kept at a suitable temperature? 4. Animals tend to give off a fair bit of heat and a lot of moisture when they breathe. How was the heat dealt with within the confined space of the Ark? How was the moisture from breath dealt with? 5. Many organisms have fairly specific diets, so how were they catered for? More generally, the Eurasian shrew has to eat about 2.5 times its body weight per day to survive. Taking a shrew to weigh around 8 grams, this is only 20 grams per day, but over 340 days this amounts to 6.8 kilograms of insects, which needs to be stored and kept alive. 1. How were insectivores catered for? 2. How were carnivores catered for? The issue is compounded when you consider that most animals have markedly different food sources and also have to be treated in very different ways. 6. Many organisms are indigenous to only a small handful of islands, and 70% of marsupials live on Australia, which is an island. So the question is, how did they get to the Ark in the first place? I get the feeling that a sugar glider isn't going to do so well in open water. And finally we move on to physics. 1. The most basic issue in physics is undoubtedly the question of where the water came from. Many, perhaps most creationists will claim that the water came from a water canopy which surrounded the Earth, the firmament, so let's run with that. A. By what mechanism was the firmament held above the Earth? What amount of water would be in this firmament? How thick was it? How far above the Earth was it? B. How was the firmament broken apart? Did it all drop to Earth at once, or was it released gradually? What mechanism would allow a gradual release? 2. Wooden ships are inherently limited by a phenomenon known as hogging and sagging. As a large wooden ship climbs over a wave, its bow is positioned higher than its stern, causing the middle of the ship to flex downwards. As it crests a wave, the opposite effect occurs. Now the bow is supported and drops down, causing the middle of the ship to flex relatively upwards. This hogging and sagging has two effects. It weakens the wood, but more importantly it allows water into the hull, because the beams twisting and flexing forms gaps between them. So how is this phenomenon avoided? 3. The flood is also widely purported to have been the event that rapidly accelerated radioactive decay, rendering radiometric dating unreliable. A. By what mechanism? B. How did it affect alpha and beta emitters in just such a way which means that, despite different decay chains with different half-lives being used, the results remain fairly consistent with each other? Well, that's all the questions in the series. If I do get responses to these questions, do I expect the responses to be concordant? I doubt it. The flood model is many things to so many people that to expect any response to match any other response would be foolhardy. Do I expect every single question answered all at once? Absolutely not. That would be terrible of me. If any creationist has made it this far and wishes to address any of these with a video response, just do it a few questions at a time. I'm far from chauvinistic enough to expect creationists to find this little video on this little channel of little merit, but should one by chance come across this and, more importantly, watch it all the way through and want to answer any of these for me in a video response, then I have one very important caveat. This is about creationism. For the purposes of this video, biological evolution doesn't exist. This video is about creationism and my questions pertaining to the claims that creationists make. If I hear evolution has a problem with this, or the problem with evolution, or any similar buzzwords such as uniformitarianism / uniformitarianist, or evolutionism or ist, then I see no reason to continue to watch that particular response further, or to take what it says seriously. For clarity, mentioning in any response perceived flaws in evolutionary theory will be grounds for me to dismiss any such video in its entirety. Video responses are, of course, more than welcome, but try to keep on topic. Thanks for watching, and take care.